Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 14th of January. Now this week we've got quite a lot going on in the markets and quite a bit of potential developments, political developments that could create quite a bit of volatility and certainly keep those markets on their toes. On Tuesday evening we've got the UK parliamentary Brexit vote on May's deal. Now that is likely to create a certain amount of interest in the strength of sterling. We've also got the US shutdown that's continuing and the trade wars or trade tariffs discussions, I should say, that are going on between the US and China at the moment as well. So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room. Now, the first one, if we take a look at one of the currency markets here, the CAD Swiss is one market here which I think is worth keeping an eye on. If we take a look at this on the weekly chart, we can see that the market has retraced back up and it's sitting right above this sort of 74 level at the moment. Now, of course, this is a weekly chart, so this is just the start of this week's candle. But at the moment, the market retraced back to 74, but it's in the kind of the context here of a short trend, and there's a significant price point here around this 74 level on this market. So certainly a rejection here. If the market breaks below this level and continues short, there's quite a decent size of potential move to the short side. Now, if we come down to the lower time frames and take a look at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that on the 4-hour, the market's now started to change trend here. So we've got a high, low, lower high, lower low. So we've got that sort of formation of a short trend forming here. We've got the indicators starting to roll over, but there is this sort of level that the market needs to sort of break through. So looking at opportunities to see if this market does break this level and continues lower, there is a short-term target area here on the 4-hour time frame that we could be looking for sort of a fairly easy move to the short side. But of course, if the market does reject highs and start to roll over, then we'll be looking at holding some of this position in for a longer run based on that weekly chart. Now, if we come and have a look at the US indices here, US indices I think are also at quite an interesting price point this week. If we take a look at the weekly chart here, we can see over the past sort of 3 weeks, the market sort of found some strength. It's rallied up in the first few weeks here of 2019 for the market to sort of get up to this key level here around this 24,000 level. Now, at the moment, since the market sort of reached this late last week, it's failed to really advance any further and it started to weaken off this sort of technical level. So technically here on the weekly chart, this is looking sort of like quite a nice area for the trend to continue to the short side. And there's certainly no question as to quite a decent size window of opportunity short. Now, when we come and have a look at the lower time frames, taking a look at the 4-hour, you can see the more technical areas here on the 4-hour where the market sort of tested this sort of 50 points shy of 24,000 here 3 times. It's tested it 3 times with divergence, and this market just looks like it's sort of starting to roll over here on these time frames. So it'll be interesting to see once the US cash markets open later on today. But for me at this moment in time, I'm looking to see if this from a macro perspective, whether these indices are looking at rolling over to the short side and starting to give some of those gains back that they put in at the beginning of this year. Now, if we come and have a look at the next one, let's take a look at our commodity for this week, which is oil. So oil has been in the news quite a bit over the past sort of few days and in fact sort of past week or so, with prices actually sort of pushing it higher and pushing into a technical sort of bull market this year. However, if we take a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the market sort of reached up to the 53 level, which was a technical level price point here that we had on the 4-hour time frame, and now it's just sort of taken the heat out, so it hasn't been able to sort of hold above that price point at the moment. So We've got another level down here, our 50 level, which is the quite a significant price point in this market. So we could be seeing short term at least a retest down here towards sort of 50. But let's have a look at this from a higher time frame perspective and see how this sort of stacks up longer term. So the $50 level for oil here on the daily is looking like quite a, as I mentioned, it's quite a significant price point, but in the context of the daily trend is looking more of a nice area for the market to fall back to find potential support. So if the market does find support at 50, then we could be looking for advances above sort of 53, where it recently reached, possibly up towards that sort of 55 level. So again, I think that $50 level is a very, very key price point in oil. Now, if we just take a look at the same price point here in the context of the weekly chart, you take a look at this on the context of the weekly chart, we can see again where it is. So from a technical perspective, this looks extremely short and extremely weak if 50 can't be supported. So again, just supporting the fact that that $50 level is such a key price point for the price of oil. If the market fails to hold above 50 once it gets there, well then we could be looking for significant lower prices in oil. If the market finds support at 50, well then we could be looking at significant moves to the long side as the support has been tested and put in there at that sort of $50 level. So keeping an eye on potential opportunities on oil around those significant price points around that sort of $50 level. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room this week. I certainly hope it helps and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.